77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And happy Mother's Day, everybody out there. Perfect day, by the way. I mean, we're talking, if you're in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, this area in the Northeast, 75, sunny. Excellent. The moms have earned it. Hopefully you got the flowers. You took her to brunch, or you're at brunch, listening to us at the same time, which would be awkward. Or perhaps you do what I'm doing, which I'm going to take her to go see The Devil Wears Prada 2. Hard to believe. 20 years apart, they could do these movies, and you look at everybody in it, and they look exactly the same. It's a thing now, right? Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick, 36 years later. Cruise looks younger in this one than he did in the first, maybe. There was another one recently where it was a big difference in age from one sequel to the other, but it'll hit me. The point is that I figure like that's like kind of a girly movie and something that she'll like to do. So doing the brunch, doing the flowers, she'll get the massage or whatever. But then I thought that would be a nice little date night for Mrs. C and me. AOC, not a mom. She has said that she doesn't want to bring kids into this world because it's going to end soon because of climate change. So why subject her future son or daughter to an inferno and the earth just burning to a crisp and just, complete and total apocalypse. Yeah, she made that prediction in 2019 that the world would end in 12 years. So if I'm doing my math correctly, we got 5 years before it's bye-bye. So make sure you have that bucket list and all those things checked off, like me, where I must go to the Masters if I have to drive there myself. But AOC now proving once again that the difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. And the reason why I say that is because she is now making the claim that the American Revolution was not fought over, taxes, right? No taxation without representation, I believe, is the term. Wasn't over the fact that we didn't want to be under a king anymore, that we wanted a democracy, that we wanted our freedom. Nope. Apparently, this was a fight against billionaires at the time or something. Cut number 1. Go.
The American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time.
No.
We're declaring independence from such an extreme marriage of wealth and power and the state.
If I'm Boston University, I am disowning AOC as a graduate of said university, which is a pretty good school, right? But no, I mean, that's almost like that woman from the New York Times who claimed that the American Revolution was fought over slavery. Yeah, wrong war there, babe. So I guess you could just make up things. And the thing is, AOC does these things in safe spaces where no one ever challenges her on anything. I could go through the list of the ridiculous things that this person has said over the years. But in the end, AOC sounded fairly normal there, right? Like, that's probably how she talks. But when you put her in front of a different audience, suddenly the accent comes out, and boy, if you want to feel some hairs going on the back of your neck, listen to this cut number 2. Go.
I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Wrong.
There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy.
Bye.
There is nothing wrong with preparing the food that your neighbors will eat.
Oh, Democrats do this all the time. Kamala does it. Gavin Newsom does it. Hillary Clinton does it. And this guy down in Tennessee just did it this week as well. Justin Pearson. He is a congressman who in 2016 tried to present himself kind of as a moderate. And when he was speaking to students on a campus, this is what he sounded like. And sounds perfectly reasonable, articulate, type of guy you say, all right, he's not crazy. Cut number 12, go.
I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Okay, and here is Justin Pearson just this week. This is 10 years later. Not happy that Tennessee is doing what California has done, Illinois has done, New York has done, which is redraw their maps, redistrict. And the irony here, before I get to the clip, is that he's upset, he's black, that because this redrawing will give probably Republicans this particular district based on the way it's drawn, that this is something that is making sure there's no black representation in Congress out of the volunteer state. The problem is that the person who's probably going to win the election now under this new map is a black woman. But she's a Republican, so I guess she doesn't count or something. Anyway, here's Justin Pearson, who sounds a lot different now than he did in 2016. Cut 13, go.
Here, you've had 3 strikes laws, mass incarceration, denied us of who we are, and we are still here. And today, you'll take the only majority black district from us.
Oh, Elias, I'm going to put you to work here. Play 4 seconds of cut number 12 again.
I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more...
And let's do cut 13 again.
Here, you've had 3 strikes laws, mass incarceration, denied us of who we are, and
that's got to be hard to do.
Here, and today, you'll take the only majority black district from us.
Oh, just once, if this person does an interview, just play the 2 clips and say, why is your voice so different? Meanwhile, Hakeem Jeffries, who, the betting market said that this guy is going to be the next House Speaker in November. Blue wave. He's going to sweep in and be no more dollar store Obama. No more Timu Obama. This guy is going to be Speaker of the House and who knows, maybe President of the United States one day. And then after Virginia's Supreme Court shot down redistricting in the Commonwealth with a ridiculous map, where I've talked about this 100 times, 6 Democrats in Virginia right now in Congress, 5 Republicans. It's a state that Glenn Youngkin won as a Republican just a couple of years ago. It's a state that Kamala Harris only won by 5 points. So 6-5 Democrats sounds about right. However, Virginia decided to break its own constitution, mind you, and hold this special session and try to ram through this new redistrict map that would make it 10-1 Democrats to Republicans. Well, the Supreme Court shot that down because the language in terms of what was on the resolution was completely and totally misleading, saying that, this redrawing of the maps is only temporary. Okay. Well, now it's going to stay 6-5 in Virginia. Democrats therefore lose 4 seats they thought they had. And between what's going on there and Tennessee, Louisiana, Florida, Texas, Indiana, probably, Ohio, go down the list, South Carolina, Republicans stand to gain 14 seats as a result of these redrawing of lines and maps in deep red states that deserve to be redrawn. And, by the way, Democrats made the rules here once again. So why not do this? Anyway, here's CNN mocking Hakeem. That's when you know that you're really, really in bad shape. And, well, you may be facing some challenges as far as your leadership in the House. This is cut number 15. Go.
The law is with us in Virginia. The facts are with us in Virginia. And the people are with us in Virginia. There's no basis in law or fact for the Virginia Supreme Court under the Constitution that exists, particularly in the aftermath of a people-approved referendum, to do anything other than to allow it to move forward.
The law is with us, said the aspiring House Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries. Not so fast, says the Virginia Supreme Court.
When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem.
When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem. That's right. Thank you, Eddie Murphy. Meanwhile, you have to see, I want to make this point, and you really have to drive it home here as far as what we're talking about, as far as what Democrats have done in the past. You have states like Massachusetts that vote 42% Republican and have 0 seats to show for it. You have other states like Delaware, California, states where Republicans get 40-something% of the vote and have 0 representation in Congress. And this has been going on for some time now. So Democrats are reaping what they're sowing, and there's real panic on that side now because basically the way the map is working is that the crystal ball, so to speak, shows that Republicans have 217 seats probably secured, while Democrats have 207 probably secured, with 12 toss-ups, meaning Democrats would have to run the table and win every toss-up election in order to win back the House as it stands right now. Now, a lot can change. Obviously, the Iran war, Strait of Hormuz, that all needs to be resolved. Gas prices must come down. That is something that goes across party lines. It's a tax on everyone. People feel if they see above $4 and they say, what's going on? I was told that prices would go down in this regard, and they were for a long time until the Iran war. Long term, I think once Trump has this thing settled where you have actually pen to paper, you don't hear anything about a tax in the Strait of Hormuz, and then given all the oil that we'll be getting from Venezuela, our own baby drill in terms of domestic oil, if gas prices come down, I think that's the whole ballgame, quite frankly, because jobs reports have been excellent lately. GDP should show some great growth. And in the end, Democrats have nothing to run on outside of Trump as a threat to democracy, which they tried in 2024, and they didn't win one swing state with that message. So just saying. Meanwhile, AOC not happy at all with the gerrymandering decisions. Who put together those words? Actually, it's named after a person now that I think about it. But anyway, here she is. And basically she's saying, look, how do you expect us to win if we can't cheat? This is cut number 11. Go.
Well, how the hell are we supposed to cheat now that the Voting Rights Act doesn't allow us to pack black people into a clearly insane gerrymandered district? Do you know how hard it is to run on our mentally platform without cheating?
Oh my.
It's impossible. So let's go back to why the Voting Rights Act passed in the first place and how Democrats abused the shit out of it. In the 1960s, Democrats dominated the South but didn't feel the need to hide their true form.
No mixing!
They required literacy tests for black voters and dumb white ones too.
Wow.
I'm like you because I cannot read.
So they passed the Voting Rights Act in 1965, and this Democrat hero said,
I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years.
Wow.
Initially, it worked as intended, and blacks could vote safely, while Democrats needed a new strategy.
Hey, y'all, I'm totally not racist now, and I actually love the black.
I have to say this legally. Of course, that was AI, but I could guarantee you that many of you listening out there probably are like, wait, is that really AOC? Or probably totally believed it and didn't even question it, quite frankly. But there are more and more videos like that on social media, which is great for this show. But I don't know. It's so close to being accurate that you probably were questioning whether that was AOC or not. Anyway, before we go to break, let's play part one of the president, Donald Trump, obviously releasing some files on aliens and UFOs. And obviously Trump knows a thing or two about aliens because he actually has personal relationships with several of them. This is cut number 4. Go.
My fellow Earthlings, this is your favorite president, and it is my complete and total honor to confirm the existence of extraterrestrials. They call them extraterrestrials. I call them aliens. I got along very well with many highly respected aliens all across the universe. You look at, you may have heard of them, E.T., tremendous guy, and he came to Earth, and he said to me, sir, E.T. phoned home, sir. He wanted to go home, and he couldn't go home. But we made a perfect phone call, and we sent him home. And now the Democrats are impeaching me over it. E.T. phoned home. It was a perfect call.
Yeah.
He pointed. He said, ouch. And we sent him home. But he's a tremendous guy. We get along very well.
Is there anybody this guy doesn't have a relationship with or doesn't know? I mean, E.T., that's... I saw that movie 5 times, actually. And obviously I couldn't drive at the time. I was a young kid. I had my mother drive me 5 times to the movie theater in the span of like 2 weeks. Favorite movie all time as a kid. And it still stands up today. I watched it with my 10-year-old not too long ago. And he cried at the exact moment I cry when you think that E.T.'s dead. But he comes back. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. No, it's not really a spoiler alert. That movie came out, let's see, 34 years ago. I think we're good. 44 years ago now, if I'm doing the math right. Wow, I'm old. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This show never gets old. This is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. All right, let's continue with President Trump. Okay, it's not President Trump. You listen to the show long enough, you know it's Sean Farish, former Long Island resident who saw the taxes here and saw the education system in his particular town and said, I am out of here. I'm going to Nashville. And he told me this story when I interviewed him not too long ago. I said, how did you get to the point where you're doing a Trump imitation and then the Trump administration, including the president himself, is tweeting out the imitations that you're doing? I mean, they're really that good. He said, I used to work in sales and I would do the Trump imitation and everybody loved it so much. They said I should start putting him online. And sure enough, that's where he is now. Anyway, here is the 47th president on aliens and what will happen if some sort of war were to happen or something bad, because tariffs apply everywhere, not just to places like China and Canada, but also intergalactically. True story. Cut number 5. Go.
We've been visited by aliens a number of times. They call them encounters. And you look at Roswell, never would have happened if I was your president.
Well,
but the aliens have been coming here for a long time. And they came down when Crooked Joe was your president. They said, we see no sign of intelligent life anywhere. They looked at Crooked Joe and AOC, and they said there's no intelligent life on this planet.
Well,
but the aliens are great people. We get along very well with them. And we said that if they don't come in peace, they said, sir, we come in peace. I said, if you don't come in peace, we're going to hit you with intergalactic tariffs, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. Yeah, we have Space Force. We have so many beautiful tools, and we get along very well with the aliens. So they're real. They've been here, and we have a tremendous relationship with them. Thank you. God bless America. God bless the galaxy. And thank you for your attention to this matter.
I mean, what more can you say? Is that it's just the perfect imitation, just with the inflection, certain sounds, and just everything, and especially the content, though. And he always does it very timely. Sean doesn't put these out, Farish, every day, just when things happen, like Cinco de Mayo. He put something out for that. And then obviously the aliens announcement. So when something big happens with Trump, you go to Sean Farish's X account and you could see these things, and they're viewed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times, if the president ends up retweeting that out. Anyway, before we go to break, just one more thing I got to play for you. This is Marco Rubio. And again, I think this guy will be president one day. I think there's no doubt about it. And I think he's been the MVP of the Trump administration. There's serious momentum behind him being the Republican nominee. No offense towards J.D. Vance, but if J.D. decided not to run, wants to be with his 4 kids that are very young, Marco Rubio obviously is your first and only choice. Here he is shutting down a reporter on the ceasefire, not ceasing fire in Iran. Cut 18, go.
To it. Well, I guess, but the point is, if there's not much seizing in the firing, because we've.
Well, you should ask that of the Iranians. Don't ask me. We didn't fire. They fired on us. My point is, if you fire at a U.S. Navy ship, what are we supposed to do? Say, oh, there's a ceasefire. We're not going to shoot down your drone. That's a stupid question. That's a stupid position to take. Of course we fired back at them. They were shooting at us. That's what I would expect to do. Only stupid countries don't shoot back when you're shot at. And we're not a stupid country.
Yeah, so, again, Trump-esque, right? That's a stupid question. It was. It's true. If they shoot at us, yeah, we're going to fire back. It's not like ceasefire only goes one way. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. And we speak to the great Brett Baier, my colleague over at Fox News, has a new book out. And Brett is always a fantastic interview. Trust me, you're not going to be disappointed. Back with more in a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. We have Brett Baier, the host of Special Report, chief political anchor for Fox News, and the author of the best-selling Case for America, an argument on the behalf of our nation. Brett, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course. So here we are, 250-year anniversary of our country, and it seems that, look, I wasn't alive, nor were you, during the 60s when we had such divide in this country as far as the war in Vietnam, but it seems like we're getting to that point where you have to wonder if what the founders and what you wrote about in this book is going to come to fruition in the next 250 years, as far as we hear Democrats talking about blowing up the filibuster, adding 2 states as far as D.C. and Puerto Rico, adding 4 senators as a result, eliminating the Electoral College and so on. But in the end, what was your whole motivation of writing this book? You've written about 6 presidents. I know. I think it was George Washington, Grant, Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan. At this point, we're at 250 years of this country's republic, but it seems the next 250 years could be tumultuous if we're witnessing what we are right now in 2026.
Yeah, I guess the impetus was after writing those 6 books about those 6 presidents, and there were unique times, like a soda straw look at something in those presidencies that maybe was overlooked by history. And I just came to the sense that they were really indicative of, during those presidencies and during those speeches, making the case for the country. And so I thought, using that and then talking to people in present times, people like Condoleezza Rice and Ken Langone and David Rubenstein of different political, ideologies and bents, but asking them to make the case for America and presenting it like a jury, that you're making the case before a jury of your peers. And I think that ahead of America 250, it's really important. We are divided, and you're right. It's nasty at times. And you look at social media, my kids are 18 and 15, and there's all kinds of stuff that's flying at them and at us. I think it's time to, take a breath and go back a little bit and realize how good we have it. And that shared focus, hopefully July is providing that opportunity.
And we're talking to Brett Baier, and I think you make a great point around social media being a very, very big part of this divide that we're having right now. In other words, it used to be in the past, you would have A politician or B politician wants to say something, so therefore they call a press conference, or maybe they put out a statement, and there are other people around those people saying, you know what? I know you want to say this. I know you're emotional right now, but we should keep this within the guardrails of civility. And now with social media, you could write and say whatever you want off the cuff, any time of night or day, without anybody telling you that's right or wrong, or any podcaster actually can do that as well. I wonder if social media is leading to this divide, Brett, where we have a problem where so many people are putting out videos saying what they're feeling at that particular moment, and therefore it gets very personal, and therefore it's impossible for 2 sides to work together.
Yeah, we've got a lot of vitriol out there, and you're right, it does spiral down sometimes, and sometimes the social media plays to our worst angels, not our better angels. And, you can't exclude the President of the United States from this kind of talk either. But I think what I get to in this book is, I'm not telling the country what to do. It doesn't look through like rose-colored glasses. It's not sanitized. We have done horrible things in our country. We've made big mistakes that would have just crushed weaker nations. But we, as a country, have always been resilient, and always the pendulum swings. America comes back, figures out what's needed, and gets a leader that can move it forward. I do that segment on my show, Common Ground. It's a podcast for me too, where I bring Democrats and Republicans together, talking about what they're working on as opposed to what they're arguing about. And, we talk about the news of the day and where there's differences big time, but they eventually get to what they're working on, which is important. And when I first started that 4 years ago, 2022, my staff said, "Boss, we're never going to be able to book this thing. This is going to be impossible." And I said, "Trust me, it's going to work." And I went up to Capitol Hill and I convened all the press secretaries, left and right, Democrats and Republicans, and I gave a speech. And I implored them, this is your opportunity to talk about what you guys are working on across the aisle. And eventually they did. And it started to gain steam. And then I had strange bedfellows that were appearing together, like Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Raskin working on something together. And they fight every day. Elizabeth Warren and Ted Cruz. And it's in the mindset and mold of the old Ted Kennedy, Orrin Hatch relationship, or Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill. You can go down the years. My point is that we're bigger than some of this small stuff, and I think like focusing on the big ideals that the founders really founded the country on is a good place to go back to.
Absolutely. We're talking to Brett Baier. The book is called The Case for America. I remember I was young at the time. We're about the same age, Brett, but Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton in 1994. Yeah. Bill Clinton took a beating in that midterms. And Newt Gingrich then said, okay, let's work together. Now, Clinton could have gone two ways with that. He could have either, okay, I'm going to go far to the left. I'm going to oppose you. I'm going to, again, before social media, I think that played a big role in this. But in the end, they passed welfare reform. Here you have Bill Clinton saying the era of big government is over. And then they actually had a balanced budget amendment, which again, that is as bipartisan as it gets. And before Clinton left office, I get the whole Monica thing and what people think about that. But in the end, 1998, 1999, 2000, we had a budget surplus, which is unthinkable now. So I wonder if we could get back to that place again, because I see Hakeem Jeffries talking about, maximum warfare after Donald Trump was nearly assassinated for a third time. And then obviously, as you say, the president doesn't exactly respond with kindness. I just wonder if we could ever get there again.
I'm hopeful that we can. I mean, I see examples of it every day. I did a debate, last year with Lindsey Graham and Bernie Sanders.
That's right.
You couldn't be more far apart. And yet they talked about, working together on a number of things and talked, civilly. And I think the whole thing is listening to the other side, understanding that you have passion and you're adamant that you're right and they're wrong, but respecting their opinion and then figuring out, Dwight Eisenhower said in his farewell address, he said, we need to work on the things that we agree on first and then argue about the stuff that we don't. And if we just went into every day on Capitol Hill like that, there would be a ton of stuff that would get done a lot faster.
That's true. And before we go, Brett, and again, the book is The Case for America, a New York Times bestseller. It's going to be huge. You co-hosted Charles Krauthammer on your show, and it's funny because I was on. What's that?
He's in the book too. Yeah.
Oh, of course he is. Yes. No. I'm getting through it. Look, I'm not going to be this guy who pretends I read the whole thing. We booked this a couple days ago. I'm on chapter 6. Yeah. Okay, but I am reading it. I swear to God. But Charles, I was on Big Weekend Show this past weekend co-hosting, and at one point, I got to a point where I imitated Brett Baier, where we played a soundbite, and there was no question to ask after the soundbite. I just said, Tommy, or in this case, Tommy Lahren. and I said to her, I said, Brett Baier used to do that. You just say Charles. Like, there's no question. He's going to go with it.
That's all you needed.
That's all you needed, exactly. But Charles Krauthammer, at first, from what I understand, Roger Ailes wasn't exactly on board with bringing him on to your show every day of the week, but you pushed for that.
I did. Yeah. He used to appear occasionally on Britt's panel. And when I took over in January 2009, I said to Roger, my then big boss, I'd love to have him on 5 nights a week. And Roger said, no, maybe just 3. Let the audience keep him, keep wanting him back. I said, promise you, we need him. He's my first baseman. And Roger said, fine. He was on as much as I could have him on, and he cut through the noise of the day. He could speak in verbal op-eds. There was no practice. It was just how he talked. And he was so insightful, and you didn't know exactly where he was going to come down. It wasn't like a super partisan thing. He was just really analytical. And, I finally got him after he wrote a book to do an hour special. And it was just fascinating. It was one of the most watched hours we had ever done at Fox. And it aired every Christmas and Easter, whenever we needed an hour to fill in, because he was a fascinating guy. And I think he talks really eloquently about how great America is. In this book, I quote him in an interview I did with him. And I miss him.
Yeah, we all do. And I met him in the green room, actually, in Washington, and met his King Cavalier, which was a beautiful dog, and just the authenticity of the guy. And he was just so genuine, authentic, and just a nice guy, and a big Nationals fan, by the way. He wouldn't be very happy with what's going on in Washington right now. But in the end, Special Report lives on. And again, Josh Holmes, I think, is a great addition to what you're doing there. I think that in general, all those guys from Ruthless have been incredible. And in general, just everybody you have on there, it's just a nice conversation. It's very civil, and it comes from all sides without all the yelling, without all the partisanship and all the vitriol. And that's a great thing. And that's why Special Report is number one in its time slot by a country mile. The book, by the way, by a country mile, is The Case for America, an argument on the behalf of our nation. Brett Baier, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Brett. And this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show.
Youth sports families and fans, huddle up. Wherever life takes you, Game Changer keeps you connected. Stream games live in full HD when you can't be there. Get play-by-play updates right on your phone. And share game highlights with everyone. Full bragging rights included. Live the game like never before with Game Changer. Create your free account today at gc.com.
Looking to see what's happening around your home? Ring's battery doorbell helps you track packages and see who's at your door in real time. The Outdoor Cam Plus protects your yard at night with a wide field of view and clearer Retinal 2K video. Or upgrade to 4K cameras and doorbells with Retinal Vision for ultra-clear zoom and detail. Your door, your yard, your home. With Ring, it's protected. Shop cameras, doorbells, and more at ring.com now.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, Gavin Newsom really wants to be president. And he's kind of doing the socialism thing out in California. In other words, give away some prizes, just like Oprah. You know, you get a car, or in this case, you get diapers, and you get diapers. And I guess he believes that will ingratiate his personality and the way he runs California to the rest of the American people. But there's one little problem with this gambit, and that's the only way to describe it. Here is Mr. Newsom, cut number 6. Go.
You know exactly what I'm holding in my hand, diapers. We'll be distributing 40 million free diapers this year to new families to address one of the real cost challenges they face, the affordability of diapers.
The affordability of diapers. So give them away for free, and that will certainly, you're going to get a lot of mom votes, I guess Newsom believes. The only problem is that this company that is supplying the diapers is called Baby to Baby. The co-CEO is a woman named Nora Weinstein and sits on Mrs. Newsom's board at her group California Project. Okay. That's according to several reports out there. So this is where Gavin Newsom's wife is connected to a massive taxpayer project. You know, in other words, this is $20 million in taxpayer money that's going to be flowing to an organization that his wife is seriously involved with. And that's why this is happening. So there's always a grift with this guy. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. He will not be the Democratic nominee in 2028. And it's not because I think AOC is going to win. It's not because I think Buttigieg is going to win. It's not because I think, I don't know, who else is out there? Fred Flintstone in Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. Nope, he ain't going to win. There's somebody I'm missing. There's somebody that's going to come out of nowhere and take this thing. I've said it before. Like, if Jon Stewart were to run, you could laugh at me. With that being your competition, because he comes across as authentic. I mean, he plays clips out of context like there's no tomorrow. But I think in his ability to debate, make an argument, what he's done for veterans, that's something you cannot criticize, especially 9/11 responders. So Stewart jumped in. We've seen crazier things, but yeah, I could see him somehow taking it. You could call me crazy, but again, you tell me, outside of those 5 people I just mentioned who would be the so-called front runners. Oh, Kamala Harris, I didn't even mention. She's at the top of the list polling right now, probably because of name brand recognition. But still, if she holds on to that and starts getting the money, well, yeah, she could be the nominee. And that would be the greatest gift ever to J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, certainly for sure. Meanwhile, the Democrat Party, well, they're going in the wrong direction. Let's put it that way. And here is John Fetterman with Bill Maher. Fetterman, the last common sense guy on the left side of the aisle, it appears, warning about communism becoming mainstream among the Democrat Party. It's already happening, as we know here in New York. This is cut number 7. Go.
And people that are proud to be labeled as a socialist. That used to be was a smear when I was running my first cycle. And now that's becoming more normalized. And now I think that's a very dangerous, slippery slope for us to be. And now I've spoke to people that had to live under socialism and or communism, and they are morons if they think that socialism is the answer. I've lived under that, and thank God we are now.
We already have a great deal of socialism, and I've made the point a million times on the show, as we should. All Western democracies are quasi-socialist. There are certain things that the government should do. You don't want the private enterprise to be controlling the Marine Corps. And we need Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid. Obviously, these things, we have socialism. They're just proposing something way more than that. And by the way, you said socialism, dirty word? Yeah, yes and no. What really was a dirty word, which isn't anymore, is communism.
Yeah,
I mean, this woman in New York who is Mayor Mondami's right-hand woman, she tweets out, elect more communists. This guy, Graham Plattner?
Yeah, it's not a slur if I refer to him as a communist. That's his own term that he used for himself.
Yes.
Antifa and these other kinds of extreme things. Now, that's his own words. That's not my view, and I'm not using that as a slur.
But the idea that communist is not a dirty word, I think we need to pause here and say, okay, this is a watermark. This is a watershed mark, a moment in American history where we should pay attention. And my guess is, because AI is going to be taking everybody's jobs, communism is only going to get more popular.
Well, I sure hope not.
I mean, they're making total sense there, and it's true. So socialism, yeah, there are things that we have that are socialist, right? As far as safety nets, and some you could say are completely mismanaged. And obviously, we can't keep throwing bad money after bad money. But at the same time, yeah, it is incorporated into the way we operate right now. Communism, though, more and more is something that some Democrats like Plattner, like Mamdani, he won't say it, but he is, are embracing because they truly believe that people are dumb enough to think that the government can run things better and your money is in better hands with them than it is in your own pockets. Anyway, here's Ronald Reagan on the irony of communism. And this is just pitch perfect from the 40th president. Cut number 8, go.
I've come to be a collector of these that the Russian people tell among themselves that reveals their feeling about their government. And it has to do with when Brezhnev first became president and he invited his elderly mother to come up and see his suite of offices in the Kremlin, and then put her in his limousine and drove her to his fabulous apartment there in Moscow. And in both places, not a word. She looked, she said nothing. Then he put her in his helicopter and took her out to the country home outside Moscow in the forest. And again, not a word. Finally, he put her in his private jet and down to the shores of the Black Sea to see that marble palace, which is known as his beach home. And finally, she spoke. She said, Leonid, what if the communists find out?
And that's exactly right. They all live large, don't they? Bernie Sanders, right, is all about we must tax the rich, and the richest 1% must pay the fair share. Okay, Bernie, how'd you get 3 homes again? How are you worth millions? How's Elizabeth Warren worth millions? All these congresswomen and men, especially on the Democrat side, go in practically broke or barely above water, and they exit, like Nancy Pelosi, with hundreds of millions of dollars. It's all one big grift, no question about it. Anyway, this has been a great show. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Brett Baier. And we're back tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Concha at Night, the Joe Concha Show, on WABC here in New York and on stations around the country. Until then, I got 2 words for you. I got 5 words for you. Happy Mother's Day. Bye-bye.